after a drunken birthday party brawl. A man who moaned down and killed his girlfriend's brother on the night they first met has been sentenced to life in prison. Mr. O'Donovan, before returning to the scene in a car and deliberately driving straight at him. Welcome to another episode on Rising Above Shadows of Abuse, Rasa, with your host, Grace Upper. Manchester Evening News, dated 28th of November 2025 by Adam Everett and Christopher Adams. Stephen Bates, 42, murdered Martin O'Donovan, 47, after a drunken birthday party brawl. A man who moaned down and killed his girlfriend's brother on the night they first met has been sentenced to life in prison. Martin O'Donovan, 47, was struck by Stephen Bates' Ford Fiesta outside his sister's home during his mom's 70th birthday celebration. Despite initially getting along well, the pair later got into a drunken brawl when Bates, 42, insisted on driving home after consuming a mix of Jagger bombs, Stella Artois, Red Bull, and vodka. He then reportedly threatened that he would pay someone to come and get Mr. O'Donovan before returning to the scene in a car and deliberately driving straight at him. As a result, Mr. O'Donovan was trapped under the vehicle, with his uncles and cousins having to work together to lift the car and free him. Tragically, he later died in hospital from severe head injuries sustained during the incident. Bates told the arresting officers, "I know what I've done, effed up." He was convicted of Mr. O'Donovan's murder earlier this month following a trial. Returning to Liverpool Crown Court for sentencing this morning, November 28th, Bates stood with his head bowed and displayed no reaction as he received a life sentence with a minimum term of 18 years. During sentencing, Judge Nell Fleetwood Casey said, "I want to begin by saying something about Martin O'Donovan, who was only 47 years of age when he died on the 19th of April this year. He died on what should have been a day of celebration to mark his mother's 70th birthday. Instead, the day ended in tragedy, with guests at the party being devastated by the violent death of a man who they loved dearly. To his mother, he was a man with a beautiful soul who made impact on everyone he met. His father's life has been destroyed by the loss of his best friend. His brother describes him as a loyal and devoted friend, a man whose energy and warmth touched many lives. He was also an accomplished avionics engineer, a skilled outdoor man, and an exemplary human being. His sisters have lost their protector, a man who they regarded as loving, strong, and fiercely loyal. Susanna Livesey, Bates' girlfriend, grief has been made even worse by the knowledge that the man who killed her beloved brother was a man who she trusted and never thought would do anything to harm her or her family. You were invited to that party also. Present was Martin O'Donovan, who at the time was living in Birmingham. You had not previously met Martin O'Donovan, but you got on well. There were no indication of the violence that was to erupt later that evening. Although you decided to go home, you initially insisted on driving yourself, despite the fact that you were clearly unfit to do so. When Susan Louise tried to stop you from getting into your car, you became abusive towards her. Rather than continue to engage with you, she went inside the house and asked her brother to see if he could stop you driving home. As a result of something one of you said to the other, a fight broke out between you and Martin O'Donovan. Although I cannot be sure you started that fight, there is no doubt it was your nasty and drunken behavior that caused it to happen. Eventually, you agreed to let Natalie O'Donovan, another of Martin's sisters, to drive you home in your car. Following the fight and during the journey home, you were abusive towards Susan Lewins's family and repeatedly threatened to kill Martin O'Donovan or arrange for someone else to kill him. I cannot be sure that you meant those threats to be taken seriously, but they indicate your state of mind and continued animosity to Martin O'Donovan. You drove off and returned to Stonyhurst Road. By that time, Martin O'Donovan was sitting on the low wall outside, having a drink and perhaps a cigarette. You drove quickly along Stonyhurst Road. You then quite deliberately drove onto the pavement and ran over Martin O'Donovan, trapping him under your car. That was no accident. It was a determined act of aggression directed towards someone who had done nothing to provoke you to act in that way. Martin O'Donovan suffered extensive injuries to his skull and extensive chest and abdominal injuries as a result of your actions. Martin O'Donovan died on the 19th of April. During your trial, You disavowed any connection between running over Martin O'Donovan and your earlier argument. That was clearly untrue and a blatant attempt to avoid responsibility for your actions. At the scene and at the police station, you were obstructive and showed no concern for the well-being of Martin O'Donovan. You were only concerned for the impact of your action on your own life. I have read references written by your mother, sister, grandfather, friend, and manager. It is clear that in recent times, you had suffered with poor mental health primarily as a result of the breakdown of your marriage. I shall also take into account the support that you provide to your immediate family and the high regard in which you are held by your colleagues at work. That said, personal mitigation is of limited value in such a serious case. I am sure that the main reason you returned to Stonyhurst Road was to confront Martin O'Donovan because you were angry about and humiliated by what had happened earlier. Given what you said in the car to Natalie O'Donovan, I am sure that you intended to use violence towards Martin O'Donovan even if you did not intend to kill him. I cannot be sure that when you left the Mosley Hill area, you intended to use your car as a weapon or have it available as a weapon. I'm sure that your decision to drive at Martin O'Donovan was a spontaneous decision, fueled by alcohol and rage, and made when you saw him sitting on the wall outside the house. Although I accept that the offense of murder was neither planned nor premeditated, you did make a determined effort to return to confront Martin O'Donovan. This offense was committed outside the home address of Martin O'Donovan's sister. Family members of all ages saw him trapped under your car and fatally injured. I cannot be sure that you intended to kill Martin O'Donovan in my judgment. What you did was so dangerous and carried with it such an obvious risk of death that you gain little benefit from the absence of an intention to kill. I accept that you have shown some remorse for causing the death of Martin O'Donovan. However, that is tempered by your behavior following the fatal incident, during which time you were clearly only concerned for yourself. John Benson Casey previously told the jury during the prosecution's opening that the party at Miss Lindsay's home on the evening of April 18th this year has started off as a happy family occasion, with a jolly atmosphere being described as they celebrated their mom's 70th birthday. However, Bates was said to have become progressively more inebriated during the course of the evening. This sparked a row between him and Miss Lindsay, his girlfriend of 19 months, during which he refused to take a taxi home and instead insisted on driving. Mr. O'Donovan, who had only met his sister's partner for the first time that evening but had got on well with him, was asked to reason with him as a result. But when the two men instead ended up trading blows in the front garden, with Bates shouting after the fighting had been broken up, "Look at you, you're effing, you are a C, you are all six." While Bates ultimately agreed that another sister, Natalie O'Donovan, could drive him home in his car, he was described as being seething during the 12-minute journey and furious with Martin O'Donovan for what had happened earlier. He was also said to have said he'll kill him and will get someone to kill him, adding that he wasn't going to get away with having punched him. After directing Miss O'Donovan to a street adjacent to his residence, Bates seized the car keys and sped off without her. The return journey to Stonyhurst Road, Walton, took him a mere 5 minutes, during which he reportedly suddenly swerved at and drove directly at Martin O'Donovan, who was perched on a wall outside the property. Bates seemingly attempted to continue driving, revving the engine, and appearing completely unmoved. After the collision, Miss Lindsay, a witness to the crash, banged on his window in a hysterical state, screaming for him to stop. Regarding Mr. O'Donovan's injuries, Mr. Benson stated it was clear to medics that he was critically injured. He suffered 2 cardiac arrests before he was taken to hospital. Life-saving procedures were undertaken. These were futile. He was pronounced life extinct at 4:32 a.m. on the 19th of April at 47 years of age. The injuries supported a conclusion that Martin O'Donovan had been run over at least once. The injuries to his skull were extensive. He also suffered extensive chest and abdominal injuries. Following the incident, Bates reportedly exited his car and exclaimed, I'm sorry, what have I done?" Shortly after 11:45 p.m., He made a 999 call stating, "I have just run someone over on Stonyhurst Road. I think they are dead. They are not moving. They are not breathing. We had an argument and I run him over. You need to send someone quick. It's done the crime. I don't know what we were arguing over, but it's my girlfriend's brother." Officers who arrived at the scene observed that Bates was extremely intoxicated. While he told police, "I know, mate, I'm not going anywhere," as he was placed in handcuffs. After being informed he would need to provide a breathalyzer sample, Bates added, "I know what I've done. I know what I've done is wrong. I'm effed up." Giving his testimony, Bates of Herondale Road in Moseley Hill, Liverpool, told the court that he had returned to the location to try to sort a relationship out and said he was planning to pack up outside where I always packed it. He continued, "I've come in and I hit something, which was the wall. Then I tried to correct the steering and turned to the opposite direction. When asked whether he had spotted Mr. O'Donovan before he then struck him with his vehicle, he answered no. He likewise denied having deliberately hit the victim with his car, stating, "I was coming in to park. I tried to correct the car. It's just a natural reaction. It come to a stop. The car, I tried to move it, and the car was just revving. I didn't know what was going on. I think Miss Lindsay was saying, 'You ran him over.' I can't really remember. She was screaming and banging on the window. Then she opened the door. I didn't know what I did really." When asked when he first realized he had hit Mr. O'Donovan, Bates seems to become emotional as he replied, "When I got out of the car, I saw his legs under the car. Just total shock. I didn't know what I have done. I couldn't believe it." During cross-examination, Mr. Benson suggested that the red mist had descended on him. However, Bates refuted this, stating there was no red mist to descend, and later added, "I just wanted to sort things out between me and Suzanne. I wanted to sort things out with my girlfriend." Andrew Haslam Pacey, mitigating, stated on his behalf today, "We cannot sensibly argue but that the fact he drove his vehicle while heavily intoxicated and the fact that the circumstances of this murder occurred in a residential setting are not factors Your Honor can take into account to make an upward adjustment. It is not just the fact that the murder was committed in a residential setting. That venue was to hold the deceased mother's 70th birthday party and was Suzanne Lewis's home. There is an absence of significant planning or premeditation on the facts of this case. The defendant left Moseley Hill to go to Stonyhurst Road in his vehicle as a means of transportation from A to B. It may be that the jury's verdict is consistent with the finding that he did not go back to speak to Suzanne Lindsay alone, but went back to confront the deceased. When Judge Flewitt noted that Bates had made a calculated decision to deceive Natalie O'Donovan before returning to the scene, Mr. Haslam responded, yes, albeit against the background of drink. Your Honor knows the effect that alcohol has for one's behavior. It does appear that the calculation is, given the contents of the references provided, out of character. We do submit that the facts of the offense itself lack planning or premeditation. Thankfully, in many regards, the circumstances must have been very short-lived. That is no consolation for anyone. Then we turn to what we submit is a matter for Your Honor's determination, which is a lack of intention to kill. We submit that the facts of this case demonstrate the defendant's decision to drive at the deceased must have happened either by way of a spontaneous reaction or on the spur of the moment, given he could not have known the disease would be outside and could not have seen the disease until moments before. We recognize the facts that the defendant ultimately used his car as a weapon may balance that feature in Your Honor's determination. We submit that there is scope for Your Honor to find on the facts of this case a lack of intention to kill. He has always accepted that he caused the deceased's death by his unlawful act. He has to live with the knowledge that even on his own admission, he caused the loss, the death of a father, of a son, of a brother, and a much-loved friend to many people, it would seem. Lastly, we turn to personal mitigation, which we readily concede relevance. First, he sought to improve his life by studying for a degree, graduated with a 2:1, working to support himself and his wife until he finished his studies, and thereafter gaining full-time employment. Your Honor knows just how valued he was as a project manager at the Whitechapel Center, helping the homeless to find a home and maintain life skills for independent living, described by his mother as his rock. He is, on any view, a loving son, grandson, uncle, brother, and friend. People described him as being both kind and considerate and plainly a man committed. In the past, to his family, particularly to both his nieces, a loyal brother and a loyal uncle, one but for this tragedy, who did seem to have a positive future ahead of him. There is talk in his sister's statement of him having plans to set up his own business. He has taken steps to advance his position while in prison, has applied to become a mentor to help those who have suffered mental health issues as he, the defendant, has in the past. While we acknowledge that those mitigations are of limited relevance to a case of this nature, they do perhaps paint a picture of a very different man to the one that the jury convicted of the most. You can connect with me by my website, www.freedom4betterlife.com, and by my social media handle, Rising Above Shadows of Abuse, for Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and you can email me at risingaboveshadowsofabuse